Hello, wanted to do a quick trade review of CoreWeave, which I traded today, but wanted to start with how I chose CoreWeave. So coming into the day, we were on QQQ, we were gapping up pretty significantly over the low set on Friday. This was once again the human VIX in effect, where news came in from a human that moved the market and pushed the Qs back up to the top of this balance we'd been in. And basically, it looks like it's going to set a daily higher low as of Friday's low. And so it's a weird situation where coming into the open, I didn't have high confidence in most of the names that I'm looking at because we came from basically daily consolidation into a gap up. If we were gapping up after having a strong day, then I'd be looking short. But in a situation where we're gapping up after being way down, it's not really a short, it's not really a long. You're sort of landing yourself back in the middle of this balance on the open. And so, for me, I figured that on most names, I was going to need to wait and see what was going to happen. However, last week, quantum names were very, very strong. We had an inside day on Friday. And so coming into the day, I was looking at CoreWeave, and actually I was looking at IONQ and QUBT and QBTS, which are all quantum names. And I'd been looking at, this high from Friday, and we were balancing near the high, and this was an inside bar. And I thought, well, if we do end up having strength in the overall market and this pushes through that high of Friday, that's basically a continuation. So I was interested. So I was watching this QUBT and QBTS to see if we were going to get a pump right off the open. And my thought was, if we hold this low right here that was set around, what time was it? 4 a.m. my time, which that candle, this is like, there is pre-market trading back here on some brokers, but most brokers began around this time. So whenever I see a low from pre-market that's set right around there, that's significant to me, almost more significant than whatever low opened here. So I was thinking, if we held above in the pre-market, we held above that level, and then we started pushing up, that could be a stop level for me if I was going to try to play this break. And that's important because later on when I talk about CoreWeave, that's what ended up happening there. But right before the open, we're on the 5-minute time frame here, but 20 minutes before the open, it started to drop. And as soon as it broke that level, I was like, oh, that sucks. And the same thing happened with QUBT and QBTS, so quantum running is out. So I removed that idea from my list. Now, I'd also been looking at CoreWeave, which also has been strong. And let me look at it. I'll show you on the daily as well. So on the daily time frame here, just hide this. We had a potential daily higher low. It wasn't an ideal daily higher low. We didn't get hourly oversold on this move down. You can see hourly oversold is this red line here. And I'm always looking for an extension into hourly oversold on the downside, especially after such a huge move up. But we didn't get that. Instead, it basically bottomed out in the morning and then was balancing all day. Now, this move up into pre-market was what had me interested, because it was basically the same setup that I've been looking at for for quantum, but it was happening here in CoreWeave, where we had a balance that was holding, and so I was looking at these lows of pre-market, which were up below yesterday's high. And then right before the open, right when the other names that I was looking at were starting to drop, CoreWeave was holding strong. Now, I had taken CoreWeave off my list because I did read that there was a downgrade, but you got to trust price more than you got to trust news. And so I see this move up, pre-market starting to go, and then it pulls in, and instead of coming back down into this balance here on this very small time frame, let me just zoom this in so you can get a good look at it. Right, so we have this move up. Let me just see if my drawing, yeah, here it is. So we have this move from this low to set a high, and then we get a higher low. And you can see it's even holding this little 5-minute EMA 12, the blue line here, and then it starts pushing up again pre-market. So this is showing me, oh my God, we have strength here. In the pre-market, it pushed above the high that had been set in early pre-market. So this is telling me that there's potential for a real move here. So here's what I did, and I'll show you my executions on here as well. So let me remove this. So coming into the 1-minute time frame here on the open, this is a trade that I do quite often now. So first of all, I should preface this by saying I like trading the open. And the reason is because the biggest moves tend to happen right off the open. And if you get good at trading the open and you can understand how price action works right in those first few moments of the day, then you can be in on a move that's going to last the whole day, right? On those days where something just runs right off the open and you're like, oh man, how could I have possibly gotten into that? It just went so hard and so fast. How was I supposed to know? Well, it comes down to practice, of course, but identifying this setup, so realizing that this is strong, relatively stronger than other names that are runner names, momentum names, and recognizing that it did a move here pre-market that was telling me that it's ready to try to push and break this high. We have a potential daily higher low below us, so we have the higher time frame supporting the move, and like this thing has proven that it can really run. So there's a potential it could really go today. So on the open, I'm looking at this, and the way my trading app works, because I have a custom built trading app, is I trade on percentages, right? So I look at the stock and I see what percentage I would want to risk. I don't do dollar amounts, I do percentage amounts. So on the opening print is right here, and I'm willing to risk, I'm thinking, to the bottom of this here. There's this move up, and then we had this little dip. I kind of want that to hold. So that's 1.8% from the open. And on the open, price starts to move down. I quickly adjust that to 1.5 because my trading app, I specify what percent of the stock moving am I willing to risk. And then after I've set that percent, then I decide what percent of my daily stop am I willing to risk on this 1.8% of a price move that I'm looking at holding. And I gotta say that I adjusted my trading size I adjusted my budget on my trading app because I think I was adjusting it too quickly to the upside. So my budget was too large, and then I was being overprotective with what I was willing to risk on the day. And that, long story short, I'm trying to fix the way that I use my trading app so I can use it the way it was intended. And in order to fix that, I reduced my overall budget so that I can risk more of my overall daily stop and use the app properly. Now that change was a change I made this morning pre-market. It was a premeditated decision because I need to basically be able to size up my trades in a more gradual manner. And so that then had me in a position where I'm not looking at a dollar amount where I'm winning or losing. I'm instead looking at a percent that I'm winning or losing. And because I adjusted my budget, I'm unclear what that percent is in dollar amount. Now that's the whole point of my system, is I've extrapolated away from dollar amounts so that I can disassociate my brain from amounts of money won or lost, and instead associate them with the percent won or lost. And I want to get my percentages corrected. And so this was my first day at a new budget, first day at a significantly different budget and a significantly different risk amount. So I was a little on edge because of that. And so when I came into the trading day, anytime I get into a trade like this, my trade is supposed to go like this. I have an entry spot. I have a percent I'm willing to risk. And then once I'm in the trade, I allow myself to make 3 more executions. The first execution is what I call my insurance. So that is once price has moved beyond the point where if I sell half, it will cover my risk, or if I sell a portion, it will cover my risk. Then I sell that portion, and then I've basically covered my risk. Now I don't need to worry about losing money in the trade anymore. My second execution should be at a target that I think is achievable. And I call this my bread and butter. So I've paid my insurance. Now I'm waiting for my bread and butter. This is going to be the money that I earn on the day that I basically bank. And then once I've banked that money, if that price level is hit, then the last piece is my runner. And the intention with the runner is that I do not sell that runner unless I hit my stop, or it's the end of the day and I want to close it. There's potential that if I get to the end of the day and I don't want to close it, I could just let it swing overnight. That's the intention. And what I found is when that works, your swing position, like your runner position, can actually earn as much or more than your initial positions did, or your initial sells did. So it's definitely worth holding onto that runner for a long period of time. Now, did I do that today? No, I screwed it up. So I think, let me first talk about how I got into this. So once the day began, I saw price pulling in from the open, and my thought was, I'm going to do a back through open trade, right? But instead, what I did is it pulled in, it paused, was not able to even get close to this higher low that I had seen from the pre-market, and so I just bought at that lower price, and I put my stop below that. So that's where my stop was initially on this entry, and at that point you can see on this it's 1.24. So between seeing that it was about 1.8% to that move right on the open, to setting it to 1.5 in my app, and then getting the actual entry at 1.24, and then price started to wobble and sort of move around here, and it wasn't an ideal move. Like typically when I'm looking for it to run off the open, I want to get my entry, and then I want it to shoot away from my entry spot, and that's going to give me confidence to hold on to that move for more. But it didn't. It wobbled a lot, and sadly I wasn't recording my screen, so I can't share that. Normally I do record my screen. But suffice to say, it was wobbling quite a bit. So when I finally got a move up enough to cover my risk, I did. And then I tightened my stop up to basically the bottom of this candle here, just under there. And at that point now I'm risk-free, and I should be holding to my target, which is the all-time high. If you look back over here, I've marked off on the daily time frame this all-time high, prior all-time high here. And I thought, okay, if it breaks the high of Friday now, it should try to run and hit. And like if it hits that all-time high, then it's confirming this daily higher low. So that's my target. And I'm at the time, this is me sort of giving myself a bit of grace here, but I saw the percent amount that I was winning on the day, and it looked to my eyes and the bad math in my head, because I had adjusted my budget, it looked like it was really, really big. And I thought, oh my God, I should just lock some more of this in, because I already taken half off. So then I decided it wobbled here, and it was holding, it wasn't shooting up the way I was anticipating it would. It wobbled quite a bit and held in here. And then right before this candle closed, it just went whoop, and it shot up really fast. And so when I did my second sell, you can see the sell happened right down here. So I got my first sell somewhere here, my second sell somewhere there. And that's most of the win that I got on the day is those two sells, which sucks. If you look at how much it ended up moving, it basically doubled that again just to get to this target here. And then it did break that and go further. So it could have been a much better win. My execution on the sells was really, really bad. I did then sell another half once it got towards the all-time high and pulled back. And then I held the runner. Well, I held it through all of this consolidation here. I did pull this. This is a fib pull here that I did where, let me just get rid of this quick and I'll show you. I have one of my fib configurations or templates is this where it's just a 50-50. And you can see the green area in the top here and then the red area in the bottom here. I'll actually simplify this here. So you can see the red and green there. So this is just telling me like if the retracement goes deeper than 50%, then the most likely scenario from there is a lower high and then move down. It actually held the 50%, which I was grateful for because then that gave me confidence to keep holding this. And it moved back up to the high here. Now, when it got to the high, which the mid-morning high here was exactly 1750. When it got to the 1750 here after this nice move up on increasing volume, I was watching the tape, which is this thing over here, right? And at 1750, the amount of shares that were being traded at 1750 was in like very, very large. So you can see right now it's in double digits to triple digits of shares being traded at 1810 or whatever that is right over here where it is right now. And at the time when it hit 1750 here, it was trading thousands, like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 shares being traded there. And so I knew that there was somebody there who had some very large amount of shares and they were trying to unload. They wanted to get out. And so I watched, and it tried to get through, couldn't do it after this big move. And so then it started to pull in. And I was like, oh, that sucks. Like, if that seller is going to be there when it tries to get back, I don't know how many shares that seller has. It might just, they might have so many that we get a full reject right here. And then it would basically be a double top. And so when it came back up, I sold. You can see I sold right there. I got out of my runner, which again, broke my rules, right? The idea of the runner is it's a runner. You have to let it run. And so I'm a little disappointed that I did not let this run because even now it did go higher, came back in, tested this range again, and is now trying to move back up. I could definitely say that if I was still in this trade right now, I would probably be moving my stop up to here under this all-time high. You definitely want to see this hold here. But I would rather be in the runner than have taken the profit here where I did. I'd rather take a stop below here than take the little bit of profit that I got there. So anyway, that's how the trade went. My executions definitely could have been better. But I think the key here to learn, if anybody's watching this and doesn't know how to trade like this, is understanding why this was a good place to get in right on the open. That little, first of all, setting the daily high or low, the potential daily high or low, and then trying to confirm it. Like it's now confirmed. This is a daily high or low. And so the potential of the move from this spot all the way up there was pretty good. There's a high probability that if the bulls can show up, it's going to try to get there, right? And then on the 1 minute time frame, looking at the pre-market and seeing that clue of, let me put this moving average back on, seeing that clue of this little moving average curling up, having this nice move up here, setting a higher low and then pushing, this is showing strength pre-market. And when you see that kind of strength pre-market, only one of two things is going to happen. It's going to fully reject on the open, or the bulls are going to step in and get excited because they see it's going and they don't want to miss the train. And so that's what I was looking at. And when it held this low, it pulled in and started to move back up. That's when I bought. I didn't buy as it came down. I bought when it stopped and started to move back up. That's when I bought. And because of the way that I had adjusted my stops and everything, I knew I was risking less. I think what I'd put on was 10% of my daily stop I risked on that. So I knew that even if this lost, I would still have plenty of other trades on the day. But I also knew that most of the time when you get into a trade like this, they run from this point. And if you don't get in now, you're going to spend the rest of the day anguishing over, should I buy here? Should I buy here? Should I buy here? Should I be buying into this here? Like where, I don't want to miss the move, but honestly, most of the move happened already. At this point, from where I got in, the move to high of day was 11, 12%, something like that, right? That's a huge move. And so, trying to get in now is too little too late. This is why I focus so much on these trades right off the open and trying to recognize these patterns that happen from pre-market into the regular trading hours and understanding also the higher time frame that supports the move to happen. I hope that's helpful to somebody. Hey everybody, if you like my indicators on TradingView and you like the content I'm producing here on this channel, please remember to like and subscribe.